Well, Ryan, it's official. San Francisco joins other Bay Area cities like Richmond and Oakland, and at least other 60 cities around the country in
Wait. Richmond and Oakland have drawn up ceasefire resolutions. Meanwhile, fast food chains are leaving the city of Oakland because of crime. What is up? My name is Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. This, of course, is the epicenter for all of your current and captivating coastal elite chaos. So please hit that subscribe button, like the video, ring the notification bell, leave a comment or two, share this with a friend. Let's go. D.L. Hughley. I made an entire video about this man a couple weeks ago, but it just never ends. It's through the roof. We're now at the point where he is just reposting paid Biden campaign ads. It's just wild. This is well beyond regular orange man bad TDS. What is at stake for D.L. Hughley? This has to be some sort of payroll thing. There's so many levels to this nonsense, and the regime has absolutely nothing to run on. Inflation is through the roof. Crime is through the roof. Corruption, open border. So now they are trying to scare uninformed women or uninformed people in general that a vote for Trump is going to take away your right to bin your baby. It's just insane. And they also talk about, well, voting rights and, voting ID, women's right to choose. It's like, well, you didn't even know what a woman was a couple years ago, but that's a different story. And for the record, there are some people who have made their entire brand around the idea that women shouldn't vote, and I probably wouldn't go that far. I mean, maybe I'd have a hot take if voting were real at all. But anyways, there is so many levels to this nonsense. So here's the ad from Real D.L. Hughley on Instagram, and he captions it simply, hashtag all this here, hashtag Team DL. And you can see somebody, I don't know if it was him, I doubt the original ad came with this, but I can say for almost sure that the original ad didn't come with this. This new Biden ad is so powerful. And this woman is going to claim that she's an OBGYN in Texas. And like I said, there are several levels to this insanity.
I'm an OBGYN in Texas and a mother of 3 wonderful children. Having this beautiful, messy, chaotic, but wonderful family, it's the joy of my life. I never thought that I would need an abortion for a planned pregnancy. But I did. 2 years ago, I became pregnant with a baby I desperately wanted. At a routine ultrasound, I learned that the fetus would have a fatal condition.
And you see right there, I learned that the fetus, this is just despicable.
And that there was absolutely no chance of survival. In Texas, you are forced to carry that pregnancy, and that is because of Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade. The choice was completely taken away. I was to continue my pregnancy, putting my life at risk. It's every woman's worst nightmare, and it was absolutely unbearable. We need leaders that will protect our rights and not take them away. And that's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
So there you have it. D.L. Hughley is literally just reposting paid Biden campaign ads. There's something very slimy about this. So the story is likely untrue. She's a paid actress. Look, how did you find this woman? You did a casting call to find a woman who was going to go on record and say that, Donald Trump killed my... No, well, so you're talking about... look, I'm no doctor. I'm no expert. But there was something wrong with the baby, and Donald Trump forced you to carry it to term or whatever. It's all absolute nonsense. And they like to use these very rare, if this situation is true, they like to use these very rare cases to justify abortion as full-on birth control. Nobody wants this. There is only blind allegiance and opposition. right? So nobody can make a coherent argument for why any of this makes sense. They just will shout you down, call you all the worst names in the book, and then pretend they're the good guy. That's all that's happening. And these people will just continue to do as they're told. The smallest inquiry constitutes opposition, and that's enough for them to call you a racist, right? Like Larry Elder's the black face of white supremacy. On the plus side, it's all crumbling, and that's why we got guys like Richie Rich. I mean, the list goes on. We can all see through it. So the question now becomes, does the establishment rework their positions and come up with some ideas that people like, or do they continue to steamroll people until there's nobody left? I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I do know this is also kind of why they put weed stores on every corner, right? So if you're not going to be a fentanyl junkie self-vaccinating under the Bay Bridge, at least smoke weed all day and don't question what the hell it is we're doing. We're also going to raise the minimum wage, right? They're going to throw little crumbs to convince stupid people they are doing a good thing. And they are now so desperate. Everything is life and death. Drive a truck, life and death. Don't wear a mask, life and death. Don't get the shot, life and death. Don't let your kid cut his junk off, life and death. Now, if you vote for Trump, then this woman's going to die because Trump didn't let her bend her I mean, it's all a complete mess. And as we know, that if anybody were to say, okay, in these incredibly rare circumstances, you can get an abortion. If you agree not to do it in other circumstances, they would not agree to that because every single one of their arguments is completely dishonest. And as far as D.L. Hughley is concerned, because the video on its own is despicable, but it's even another layer of just complete nonsense, to put it nicely, that D.L. Hughley is posting this. And from a man, I mean, he used to be a comedian, but you go on his Instagram now and every single post is about racism and Donald Trump and politics. Like, there's no, dude, you haven't cracked a joke in 20 years. And I could understand this level of political hack-shillery or political shill hackery if this were his job, if he worked for MSNBC or CNN. But he is a comedian, and I have to assume that there is a payroll, some sort of payola thing going on. I do not know. Maybe he's friends with Obama, but this is an entirely new level of nonsense. Then there is this clip from the Senate race debate in California from Politico, which, I mean, they're not even trying to pretend they're shooting it down the middle. They're not even trying to pretend they're neutral, which I guess I kind of have to respect, but they say, the only major Republican running for California Senate became a punchline during the first debate. Steve Garvey, a former Los Angeles Dodgers star and political newcomer, is tied in the polls for second place with Representative Katie Porter and Barbara Lee in the race to replace the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. Adam Schiff is leading, but his first public debate was brutal to watch. It goes on and on and on, but it's very clear that Politico has a dog in this fight, and they're trying to embarrass Steve Garvey.
Oh, man, I make my own decisions. When the time comes, I'll do exactly what I said to you. I will look at the two opponents. I will determine what they did. And at that time, I will make my choice.
Well, California, I think what they say is true. Once a Dodger, always a Dodger. This is not the minor leagues. Who will you vote for?
So this Katie Porter woman, it probably took her entire team to come up with that one-line zinger. And as you can see, Politico says Katie Porter wasn't having like, hello, fellow Gen Zers. This is all ridiculous, but they're so rabid, right? I mean, they want a quote-unquote Republican to drop to his knees, basically, and denounce Trump, confirming that they will be able to continue their scam long-term, uninterrupted, and it's kind of working on him. I didn't watch the whole debate, obviously, but there's some other clips floating around where he says, abortion is good, and I don't agree with other Republicans, because in California, the establishment clause are so deeply embedded, he knows he has to play the game because he's in a room with hundreds of brainwashed morons, and I don't know what he really thinks about this, but what he should do is go along with it. Just say, yes, orange man bad, abortion good. Just go along with it get into office, and then switch it up when you get in there. They're not going to know the difference. They're not going to follow up. They're brainwashed sheep. They are not going to know what happened after their little, protest march or whatever. That's the end of it. Nobody is going to follow up on this. And, I mean, what does it matter, right? We see all the other politicians, especially in California, New York, or whatever it is, where they all get in and start switching up, right? So it doesn't matter. The entire thing is completely rotten. And I guess, look, I don't have a dog in this fight, but we are at a point where it is crystal clear that the Democrat establishment is ruining California. And now they are convincing a Republican candidate to play the game. I mean, how do the people in California who are going to vote for this say, well, we don't want a Republican? Meanwhile, the politicians you have completely destroyed the whole state. But the idea of even thinking about replacing that party, now, of course, voting is likely not real, but the idea of replacing that party through the ballot box is just a bridge too far. I mean, the dots are practically touching, but they refuse to connect them. Parkchester's Taqueria Tlaxcali, whatever, bask in the praise of popular food critics. So a little bit of an update from, I don't know, a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Notorious TikTok food critic Keith Lee decided that he had to cut his Bay Area trip short. Now, he did have some sort of shellfish allergy, whatever, that's fair enough. But he literally said the Bay Area is no place for tourists. So then he went to the Bronx. I mean, imagine that. Imagine California, the Bay Area specifically, being so bad that you decide 2 weeks later to go to the Bronx and the food is pretty good. So that's where we're at now. And a little bit more food news. Ben & Jerry's board chair calls for, quote, immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Why? I mean, this is one of the strongest virtue signals I've ever seen, right? I mean, I guess, Bo Biden couldn't do a ceasefire. None of the political regime can get it done. Of course, they don't want to because they love war and destruction, but that's a different story. Now, the ice cream salesmen are demanding a ceasefire. So I guess, you can have the IDF and Hamas, and they're gonna say, well, we were gonna keep fighting, but the ice cream guys say we should stop. So right on par with the Ben & Jerry's virtue signal demand for ceasefire, there's a resolution in San Francisco also demanding a ceasefire, and this is, on top of it being a completely empty virtue signal, it's a real race to the bottom, right? So you have the ADL going head-to-head with some weirdo commie traffic blockers. It's a complete and total mess. It's like, kids, you're both just awful. And we know that every single time, without fail, these ideologies, these type of agendas will always conflict, right?
Last 2 hours, supervisors passed the resolution by an 8-3 vote after nearly 5 hours of public comment yesterday, mostly in support. It comes as the Israeli military released this video showing heavy gun battles raging inside Gaza. Today, an IDF spokesperson warned the fighting will continue through 2024. Our Jose Martinez is live in San Francisco with the calls to halt the violence.
Well, Ryan, it's official. San Francisco joins other Bay Area cities like Richmond and Oakland, and at least other 60 cities around the country.
Wait. Richmond and Oakland have drawn up ceasefire resolutions? Meanwhile, fast food chains are leaving the city of Oakland because of crime?
Part of a ceasefire in Gaza.
It's a personal victory for Lara Kizwani, executive director of the Arab Resource and Organizing Center, and her 9-month-old baby.
Bro, these people are absolute morons. They're all sitting here cheering. They're wearing masks. It's 2024. You're protesting a war at City Hall with your mask on. And then, as we will come to find out, none of it means anything.
Grateful for all the supervisors who have championed this issue, who are taking it as a critical matter because they're listening to their constituents. They're listening to the people that are facing hate violence, that are losing loved ones, that are scared for their own safety here in the city.
hate violence? Lady, what are you talking about?
They were among dozens of people who gathered at City Hall to attend today's voting session.
Thousands of community members are touched by this issue. I myself have lost family members in Gaza. There's not one Palestinian person anywhere that hasn't been touched by the loss of family and loved ones in Gaza.
And you can see how many of them rally here to show support to this resolution, introduced in December by Supervisor Dean Preston, who is Jewish.
This resolution signals to all that our elected officials see us, they hear us, they want to protect us, and they want to take action to end violence, that they are supporting a ceasefire.
The resolution condemns any form of hateful rhetoric and attacks, including anti-Semitism, anti-Palestinian sentiments, Islamophobia, and xenophobia. But not everyone.
Wait, so all that basically means is that this ceasefire resolution includes a whole bunch of speech policing. It doesn't mean anything. And, right, so are we really to think, or are we really to believe for even one split second that the powers that be on the other side of the world are going to look at a bunch of weirdos wearing masks at City Hall in San Francisco and the ice cream salesman and say, okay, I guess we'll stop?
One agrees with this resolution.
I was once a state assembly member, and
here you have it. So this guy is regional director of the ADL. So we are now getting into the point where all of these agendas, all these ideologies, of course, will conflict, but it doesn't matter because, as we know, it's not about making sense. It is about pushing hypocrisy in your face and calling you a racist if you even question one tiny little bit of it.
I have never aligned myself with the people who are the angriest and the meanest and the ones who had calls for violence and celebrated violence. That was repellent for me. And I think that's what our communities are looking for, is for our elected leaders to have a moral clarity, condemn this violence, and disassociate themselves from it.
In a statement, Supervisor Preston said, "This crisis has directly affected our constituents, and we should be doing everything we can to support and amplify their calls for peace."
ChatGPT, write me a word salad about war.
To see this city also at the forefront of the movement for Palestinian life, Palestinian dignity, against war, against hatred of all kinds, I think passing this resolution would fit that history of San Francisco.
ChatGPT, I would like a big word salad.
That history of the Bay Area really well.
But what is the real impact of it?
Look at these people. They're in there cheering with their Palestinian flags and their kefias and their mask. Almost all of them are wearing a mask. This is nuts.
Ultimately, this decision holds symbolic significance, highlighting the city's stance on global conflicts, but these local resolutions carry no direct influence on international policies. So other leaders think this isn't the best.
Hold on. I want to go back really quickly and just highlight that they're cheering, they're doing all this, they're talking to these people about war word salad, but at the end of the day, it literally doesn't mean anything.
But what is the real impact of it? Ultimately, this decision holds symbolic significance, highlighting the city's stance on global conflicts, but these local resolutions carry no direct influence on international policies. So other leaders think this isn't the best way of uniting the community.
To see our leaders, our elected officials, calm things down, bring the temperature down. You see very angry people trying to argue for resolutions condemning Israel for just merely defending itself from Hamas terrorists. And yet, why are people speaking up about this international conflict, about the only Jewish country defending its own residents?
But Lara tells me that while the resolution has no legal authority to influence international affairs, its adoption resonates as a civic expression of support for peace efforts.
It's personal to all of us. It should be personal to anybody who cares on being on the right side of history, but it also should be personal to anybody who cares about the future of this world and humanity.
Okay, yeah, so it doesn't mean anything, but we're going to do it anyways and waste time and money.
And Lara tells me that this is not over. They hope this resolutions can actually put pressure to the federal government to do the same. Back to you.
It means nothing, but we're going to keep doing it anyways and try to pressure the federal government. This is insane. And what's worse here is that the guy who actually wrote this quote unquote resolution is Jewish. So there is nuance here, but in most other cases, there is no nuance, right? So they renamed a lake in San Francisco because a guy in 1850 was quote unquote an anti-Semite, but then they called Larry Elder, who was running against white privilege King Gavin Newsom, the face of white supremacy. I mean, this is crazy. And on top of all the contradictions that are meant to drive people crazy, it literally means nothing. And speaking of things that absolutely mean nothing, this is just kind of a silly mishap by one of these weirdo establishment shill publications. From Now This, they posted a meme. They actually edited this meme 3 times, and I'm glad I screenshot it. Something told me it wasn't going to work out quite like they were planning. The first time it said, "The Biden admin just got rid of bank overdraft fees," with the caption, "When he knows just what you need." They got lambasted in the comments, then reposted it saying, "The Biden admin is planning to get rid of overdraft fees," with the same caption about "when he knows just what you need." Then they edited that caption so it says, "Excessive overdraft fees, often exceeding $30, have disproportionately burdened many Americans, particularly those in vulnerable financial situations. The Biden administration is actively working towards reducing these high costs." So they did this trying to go to bat for the Biden administration, not understanding that that regime is largely responsible for those overdraft fees. And of course it's for Americans in, in tough financial situations. Are we to believe that the millionaire population of the country is worried about overdrafting and a $30 fee? And like I said in their comments, this is not the flex you think it is, right? The Biden administration pretending that they're going to get rid of overdraft fees, kind of like how they are pretending, or maybe they are, I don't know, get rid of college loans, which is obviously them buying votes. But the point is, the overdraft fees are happening because inflation is through the roof. Everything costs an arm and a leg, right? So these people are the type to steal from your house and help you look for what they stole, or bash your knees, give you a wheelchair, then send you a bill. So really quickly, this is part of the reason why the overdraft fees are going through the roof, because it costs you $45 to get a cheeseburger, fries, and a milkshake from a fast food place. They say fast food in California is about to get more expensive. So to bring it full circle, they will, we're going to eliminate overdraft fees. Donald Trump wants to take away your rights. Right? We're going to, hike the minimum wage, because there's still a section of really stupid people who think these are good things. So they are creating the problems, then selling you the solution because they think you're that stupid. And for good measure, from some guy named Anthony Carlo, I don't know, he works for some publication in New York. So while we're giving, free food and housing and sex transition surgeries to illegals, and we're renaming statues or renaming lakes and tearing down statues, all of this stuff, right? Even Chuck Schumer is trying to ban Zen, while Kamalto and Joe are going around trying to convince people that they should all, get rid of their babies. But different story. Just for good measure, thieves target sneaker store and smash and grab. And this particular one is out of New York, but it's obviously happening mostly in California and New York. But this, they're just doing it to, they're just doing it to provide for their family.
Liz, the owner of this store has a big sign up on his window telling customers they can't shop with masks or hoodies on. He also has an elaborate security system, but apparently all the signs and cameras in the world weren't going to stop these bold burglars from doing what they did.
Wait. Okay, so this guy works for ABC7, but which we all know is among the worst. But he says, there was a sign up. Can you imagine that the sign didn't work, right? And they want to put a curfew on the migrants, even though it's obvious that the first thing they did when they got here was commit a crime. But we're now surprised why the signs aren't working. Now, obviously, that's me giving them the benefit of the doubt. That's me pretending that they were trying to do good and just botching it left and right, and it's not a completely controlled demise.
These thieves didn't care how much noise they made before the crack of dawn, reversing into a storefront to break in Sunday morning.
Guys these days, they don't care. Camera and all that.
The brazen burglary was all captured on this video, obtained exclusively by Eyewitness News. At first, things start to go south. The burglars struggle to lift the metal shutter gate, but just before abandoning ship, a fourth thief lends a helping hand.
This is the way they got in.
Jay Jav's window now boarded up. Some of the...
I mean, it goes on like that. You get it. Thieves got away with around $40,000 worth of stuff. And to bring it full circle, I would venture to say a guy like D.L. Hughley would call recognizing this problem racist. But that's everything for today. Plenty more where that all came from. But here's a funny clip.
Oh, damn! Bravo!
You there! Get out of the truck and put your hands in the air. Stand on one leg. With the tip of your finger, touch the tip of your nose. Now, in a circular motion, rub your stomach and pat your head while saying rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Strike a pose. Now vote. Now walk slowly toward the car.
We didn't even do nothing. What you think you doing? You look so tough now, little nigga. Hate you black bastards. You stink. I hate your black skin. I hate your black pants. I hate black pepper. I hate black keys on the piano. I hate my gums because they black. I hate Whoopi Goldberg's lips. I hate the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck. And most of all, I hate that black-ass Wesley Snipes.